All right, chapter 12 looks at host defenses, and it is looking at non-specific defenses. So these are defenses that you are actually going to be born with, and all of these non-specific defenses are going to be relatively quick when being able to help fight off any invading microorganisms. So here are a list of your chapter objectives, and simply objectives 1 through 3 are what are going to be covered in section 12.1. And 12.1 really is just an overview of the defense system, and this is figure 12.1, and it shows you that big overview diagram of the defenses. On the left-hand side, you have the innate, non-specific immune defenses, and again, innate means that you were born with it. And this group of defenses is going to be divided into the first line of defense and the second line of defense. So, first line of defense, you have what are called physical barriers, chemical barriers, and genetic components. These are basically surface protection composed of different anatomical and physiological barriers that keep microbes from getting into our bodies, all right, or getting into the tissue where they could actually cause problems. The second line of defense is going to utilize different cellular components as well as some chemicals that come into play almost immediately if infectious organisms make it past the surface defenses. And these are very powerful, a very powerful component of the immune system, and actually really work in conjunction with the first line and work in conjunction with each other. Then on the right side you have acquired immune defenses, and the acquired defenses are going to be very specific. This is the third line of defense, and the major components, the major cellular components of this system are your B cells and T cells seen at the bottom there. The way that you are going to acquire this specific immunity can either be through your own immune system's working, and that's going to be active immunity, and that's going to be through infections, or even, active or infections. It can also be passive, but both are going to be able to utilize the B cells and the T cells. So, with looking at physical and chemical defenses at the surface level, you have the big one, which is going to be, your skin, right? So intact skin, that is a major physical component. Then you have different processes. Let me pull this back up so you can see the title. Different processes or different components that are also physical. So here you have cilia, all right, and you've got a picture in your textbook, I believe it's figure 12.3, that showed the cilia on your bronchial epithelial cells down in here that are going to act as basically an escalator to move material that has moved from the nose or even the mouth down into the trying to get into the respiratory tract, and it is moved along, the cilia move the dirt along with the mucus. All right, the mucus is going to be secreted by your bronchial cells, and the microorganisms get in there, they sit on top of the mucus, and the cilia will move the mucus out, and as you cough, as you blow your nose, that material gets pulled out of the respiratory tract. All right, also physical defenses are going to be defecation and urination. All right, bacteria can move into the urinary genital tract, and you don't want bacteria in your bladder, all right, because then you're going to have a bladder infection. But it does gain entrance And if it is motile, it can start to move. And so the simple process of urination helps to flush bacteria out of the system prior to being able to move further into the urinary tract and being able to wash out the numbers. If the bacteria get in and they start to replicate, that high number can be problematic. Very few aren't problematic, generally. And defecation. A majority of the dry weight of your fecal material is going to be bacteria. And so defecation actually allows for the removal of bacteria as they grow and replicate in your intestinal tract. So, physical movement there. And then chemical components. All right, you've got low pH on your skin, and that's because of material from the sweat. All right, that's chemicals, just basic sebaceous glands oil secretions are going to allow for a low pH, and that's going to be not inhospitable for organisms. Saliva has what's called lysozyme, and that is a chemical. It generally falls under the secondary immune defense because of its antimicrobial nature, but it's a chemical. It's also found, lysozyme is also found in tears, and it's going to target the peptidoglycan in the bacteria cell wall. All right, stomach acid. All right, that's nasty stuff. pH of around 1, and that is going to be a chemical. It's HCl, a chemical that can kill a lot of different organisms. They get down if they're on our food and we consume them. Intestinal enzymes are also not very hospitable to bacterial life. So those are some of the primary physical and chemical defenses that are going to be found at the surface. All right, so non-specific chemical defenses, you've got the oil secretions. The specialized glands of the eyelids allow for lubrication of the conjunctiva. And again, there's antimicrobial materials within the eye fluid, and one of them is going to be lysozyme. Lysozyme is an enzyme found in tears, saliva, and it hydrolyzes or breaks down the peptidoglycan. And then high lactic acid, the electrolyte content of sweat, it's very salty, and only halophils like high salt content. And then again, the acidic pH and the fatty acid content of the skin, right? Non-specific chemical defenses. And this is going to complete section 6.1, just that overview of the first line of